Good morning. A poem by Sarah Flower Adams. The mourners came at break of day unto the garden sepulchre, with saddened hearts to weep and pray for him, the loved one, buried there. What radiant light dispels the gloom? An angel sits beside the tomb. The earth does mourn her treasures lost, all sepulchred beneath the snow, when wintry winds and chilling frost have laid her summer glories low. The spring returns, the flowers bloom, an angel sits beside the tomb. Then mourn we not, beloved dead, even while we come to weep and pray. The happy spirit has but fled to brighter realms of heavenly day. Immortal hope dispels the gloom, an angel sits beside the tomb.
The mourners came at break of day. The tragedy of Good Friday was still very much in their minds. The women went to honor the dead. They took spices to anoint Jesus's body, to reclaim him back from the cruel hands of men. Walking together in the early morning light, the women asked one another, "Who will roll the stone away from the entrance to the tomb?" The weight was too much for them. They knew they did not have the strength. Even their combined efforts would have fallen short. But unknowingly, God had done for them what they could not do for themselves. On Easter Day, the impossible became possible. God had rolled away the stone. God removed the obstacle that would reveal the empty tomb. And you know, God is still moving heavy obstacles that would lie in the way of faith on this Easter Day. What is that obstruction in your life and in mine? What closed door are you powerless to open yourself? Listen to these words of Irene May Bignall. A similar kind of stone can lie deep in the human heart, covering a multitude of hurt and sorrows, deeply buried beneath the stone. A mysterious hand can move this stone and uncover all that lies hidden there, shining his light into our darkness. The power that moves the hand to move this stone is the same power that moved another stone in a garden tomb a long time ago in Jerusalem. This same hand is still reaching out to us to heal all that lies buried beneath our stones. So on this Easter Day, we trust God's strength and not our own. God can move mountains and gravestones. God can do it. God's resurrection power is at work in your life, in your situation. And though they were shocked by this discovery, the women bravely entered into that tomb of Jesus. And then came an even greater shock. They saw a young man dressed in a white robe. Here was an angel, a messenger from God, with a message of hope and a word of instruction. Don't be alarmed or distressed or astonished, he said. But of course they were. You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene, who was crucified. Two titles there, both expressing shame. The angel described both what Jesus was before and what he was now. He has risen. He is not here. Jesus was alive again. See the place where they laid him. The location was right, but Jesus was not there. And then came the instruction, go, tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you. In effect, the women were to give an invitation to the disciples to meet the risen Jesus. For these women, in this moment, because of the angel's message, everything had changed. This plot twist left them utterly confused. To use Mark's words literally, they left the tomb with both trauma and ecstasy. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. They couldn't put what had happened to them into words. And friends, today, as disciples and witnesses of Jesus, do we not, like them, also find ourselves somewhere between trauma and ecstasy, the now and the not yet? In 2021, our world has changed. We live in the midst of death. Our world has seen far too many tombs, marked and unmarked, in this COVID-19 pandemic. There has been no end of hearts broken through loss and grief, and no end of tears wept. And many still wait for that day of resurrection and reunion. So I say to you on this Easter day, it is okay to still weep and mourn. It is okay to keep asking our questions. There is room on this Easter day for silence as well as speech, for lament as well as rejoicing. And because of the empty cross and the empty tomb, there is room for hope. The message of Easter is that pain and loss is not forever. This heavy stone of lockdown will roll away. We will come back to life by God's grace. We will move from the grave to the garden, and from the garden to what lies ahead of us. So look forward with hope today. Jesus goes ahead of you. And thinking about it, just as Jesus broke out of his tomb, in a way the Church of God has broken out from its walls of stone and wood. But friends, we must not lose the memory of meeting together and worshipping together. We long for that day. We long for Pentecost. We shall return to the place of our beginnings, just like those disciples went to Galilee. So Galilee awaits us. There you will see him, just as he told you. There, the church's song will begin again. As God's witnesses, we go on together today, from tragedy to triumph, filled with new hope and new love. Hallelujah. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Hallelujah. In response to the good news, we sing the praises of Jesus, our risen Lord.